In the quiet of the night, Lita Eurtm's journey back to a time when dreams held great meaning, and a young man named Joseph found himself at the center of a remarkable story. The story of Joseph, his dreams, and the twists and turns of his life shows us how even in the most challenging moments, God your TM's plan is at work, guiding, protecting, and bringing good out of hardship. Our story begins in the land of Canaan, where Joseph, the youngest of 12 brothers, lived with his father, Jacob. Joseph was deeply loved by his father, who gave him a beautiful multicolored coat, a symbol of his special place in Jacob Eurtm's heart. Joseph Eurtm's older brothers saw the colorful coat and grew jealous, feeling overlooked and angry that their father favored Joseph so much. But Joseph Eurtm's story was about to take an unexpected turn, one that even he could not have foreseen. One night, Joseph had a strange and wonderful dream. In his dream, he and his brothers were out in the fields, binding sheaves of grain. Suddenly, Joseph Eurtm's sheaf stood upright, while his brothers' sheaves gathered around and bowed to his. When Joseph told his brothers about the dream, they were furious. "Do you think you will rule over us?" they demanded, their jealousy growing deeper. But Joseph couldn't Eurtm to help it. He had another dream soon after. This time he dreamed that the sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to him. When he shared this dream, even his father Jacob was surprised, and his brother's jealousy grew stronger. But Jacob quietly wondered if these dreams might hold a deeper meaning. As time went on, Joseph Eurtm's brothers' Eurtm resentment reached a breaking point. One day, when Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields, they saw him approaching from a distance and plotted against him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said, mocking him. They threw him into a deep pit, intending to leave him there. But just as they were about to abandon him, a caravan of traders traveling to Egypt passed by. The brothers decided to sell Joseph to the traders instead, earning silver coins for their deed and convincing themselves they were rid of him for good. In Egypt, Joseph Eurtm's life took a new turn. Sold as a servant to an important Egyptian official named Potiphar, Joseph worked hard and faithfully. Though he was far from home, he remained close to God, praying daily and trusting that he was not alone. Potiphar saw Joseph Eurtm's diligence and soon put him in charge of his household. But Joseph Eurtm's trials were not yet over. Potiphar Eurtm's wife falsely accused him of wrongdoing, and though he had done nothing wrong, Joseph was thrown into prison. Once again, Joseph was alone, facing what seemed to be an endless chain of hardships. Yet he continued to trust in God, knowing that, even in the darkest places, he was never truly alone. While in prison, Joseph encountered 2 men who had once worked for Pharaoh. One was Pharaoh Eurtm's cupbearer, and the other his baker. Both had troubling dreams one night and could not Eurtm understand their meanings. Joseph noticed their worry and offered to help, saying, "Interpreting dreams is God Eurtm's work. Tell me your dreams." The cupbearer shared his dream first, describing vines and grapes, and Joseph explained that the dream meant the cupbearer would be restored to his position. Encouraged by this, the baker shared his own dream, and Joseph interpreted it as well, though it foretold a sad outcome for the baker. Days later, both interpretations came true. The cupbearer was restored to his role in Pharaoh Eurtm's court, just as Joseph had said, but the baker was not as fortunate. As time passed, Pharaoh himself had 2 troubling dreams that no one could interpret. In the first dream, 7 healthy cows were grazing peacefully. But soon 7 thin, sickly cows came up and devoured the healthy ones. In the second dream, 7 plump heads of grain grew on a single stalk, but then 7 thin, scorched heads of grain swallowed up the good ones. Pharaoh was disturbed and called for all his wise men, but no one could explain the dreams. It was then that the cupbearer remembered Joseph, still in prison, and told Pharaoh about his gift for interpreting dreams. Pharaoh sent for Joseph, who came before him with a calm and steady heart. When Pharaoh explained his dreams, Joseph listened carefully and then said, "God has revealed to you what he is about to do. The 7 healthy cows and 7 full heads of grain represent 7 years of abundance, while the thin cows and scorched grain represent 7 years of famine that will follow." Joseph advised Pharaoh to store surplus grain during the good years to prepare for the difficult years ahead. Impressed by Joseph Aurtm's wisdom, Pharaoh appointed him as governor of Egypt, placing him in charge of gathering and storing food. From prisoner to governor, Joseph Aurtm's life had changed in ways he never could have imagined, and he knew it was all part of God Aurtm's plan. During the 7 years of abundance, Joseph oversaw the storage of grain throughout Egypt. He traveled across the land, ensuring that each region was prepared for the years of scarcity to come. When the famine finally arrived, Egypt had more than enough food to sustain itself, and people from neighboring lands came to buy grain. One day, a familiar group of travelers arrived in Egypt seeking food. Joseph Aurtm's brothers, unaware that the brother they had sold was now the powerful governor before them. At first, Joseph kept his identity hidden, watching as his brothers bowed before him, fulfilling the dreams Aurtm had as a young boy. He tested them, observing their behavior, and saw that they had changed. No longer filled with jealousy, they were humble, and he even overheard them expressing regret for what they had done to him. Moved by their sincerity, Joseph revealed himself, saying, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into slavery." His brothers were stunned and afraid, but Joseph spoke to them with kindness, saying, "Do not be afraid. What you intended for harm, God intended for good, to save many lives." In that moment, Joseph Aurtm's heart was full of forgiveness and love. Joseph Aurtm's family, including his beloved father Jacob, eventually joined him in Egypt, where they lived in peace and prosperity. Joseph Aurtm's dreams had indeed come true, though in a way he never expected. Through every twist and turn of his life, through betrayal, hardship, and uncertainty, God Aurtm's plan had been quietly unfolding, leading Joseph from a simple shepherd Aurtm's life to a place where he could save many lives, including those of the very family who had once turned against him. As we lay down to rest, Joseph Aurtm's story reminds us that even when life takes unexpected and difficult turns, God Aurtm's hand is guiding us, shaping every step of our journey. Just as he turned Joseph Aurtm's hardships into blessings, God works through all things, bringing good from our struggles and turning them into something beautiful. May we sleep peacefully, knowing that no matter what we face, we are never alone. Like Joseph, we are held by a love that never fails and a plan that is always for our good.